Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth
thy will be done on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Give us this day our daily bread.
Forgive us our debts,
Forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
Lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions. Who's got the first question?
From what?
Who got the first question? You still disabled? All right, we'll just roll what we got. Anybody have a question?
Anybody have one yet? Oh, looking for one. Should write it down.
1 Corinthians 14 and 34 and 5. 1 Corinthians 14, 34 and 5. And it says,
Okay, we'll have a reader read it.
Let's go 13 and
1 Corinthians 14,
yeah,
14 and
34 and 35.
35, yeah.
Okay, we'll have the reader read it, and then we'll get to your question. Okay, 1 Corinthians 14, 34 and 35. When you get there, go ahead.
Let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church.
Okay, and your question about this?
Yeah, that I don't get. Why can't they?
So when you say you don't get it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Okay. Which part? That just about a woman not speaking in the church period?
Yes.
Okay. So let's read verse 34 again. That's a good question. So basically, the question is, what does this mean? And the short answer is, it means exactly what it says. But let's delve into it to see why this is being said. Read that verse 34 again.
Let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law.
Okay. So first of all, what is he referring to when he says they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law? Let's go to Genesis chapter 3.
It's frozen.
Is it?
Yeah, frozen.
Genesis chapter 3. Hold on one second. Give me one. Hold on one second. Okay, yeah. Genesis chapter 3. Matter of fact, go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 21. Okay, when you get there, go ahead.
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now a bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
Okay, so no issues so far. The Lord created the woman from the man. Now, he could have created the woman from the dirt like he did Adam. But again, the Lord is doing things to show us protocols. So he took the rib from Adam and made the woman. Then said, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman because she was taken out of the man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. They were both naked, the man and wife, and were not ashamed." So no issues with God or transgressing his laws at this point. Go right into chapter 3 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made.
So Satan deceives in subtle ways, which means you can't really, it's not always very clear or obvious how he's deceiving. So that's important to understand because he's still doing extreme damage, but he's doing it in very subtle ways, which means you have to pay attention to detail to catch him in his subtle deception, right? So you can't just be very, in terms of just being simple-minded and just, you have to be able to pay attention to detail to catch the subtlety of Satan. Keep going.
And he said unto the woman,
Now, why is he approaching Eve? Why not approach Adam? He got a choice. He could go to Adam and have this conversation. He did not go to Adam. He went to Eve. Why did he do that? He said unto the woman, keep going.
Yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Okay, so now, notice how he posed the question. This kind of twisted how he posed the question. And that's generally how people approach Christians, people that are devout to God. They frame it in a way like you aren't allowed to do anything. Right? They frame it in a way where it's like you're in a cage or a jail of rules when, no, it's not a jail, it's a guardrail to keep you from hurting yourself. Right? But that's how he's framing it. Yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Verse 2.
And the woman said unto the serpent, we may.
Okay, so mistake number 1. What did the Lord tell Adam when it comes to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
Don't touch, not
He
eat.
said, thou shalt not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. This means don't even have this conversation. That's what it means. So her even indulging in this conversation, and this is food for thought for us as well, because you don't have to justify serving God to anybody.
Amen to that.
You're not obligated to do that. Right? Now, somebody asks you what you believe and to explain your beliefs, that's a different story. The Bible tells us we got to be ready with an answer. But you don't have to justify serving God to anybody. You're not obligated to do that. She's not obligated to answer this question.
No.
Right? So it said, and the woman said unto the serpent, so she fell for it right here by even having the conversation. It's just like I say all the time. Me and my wife in Las Vegas, a pimp comes up to us. He want to have a conversation with my wife. What for? What conversation on the planet is going to be worth her even answering any of his questions?
Yeah,
Man's a pimp.
Yeah. You know already.
Reputation.
There's absolutely no reason for you to have this conversation. Same thing here. There's no reason under the sun for you to have this conversation. Verse 2, read it again.
And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
So she understood clearly what the law was. Verse 4.
And the serpent said unto
But what she didn't understand is by answering the question, she's breaking.
Yeah. She already committed.
She already breaking this law. This is the subtlety.
Yeah.
Verse 4.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So now this is where he threw the wrench in the game, because he told her a lie, which is verse 4. The serpent said unto you, the woman, ye shall not surely die. That was a lie, but then he told her the truth. Verse 5. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. This is how the knowledge of good and evil works. This is why I don't deal with all them other books. I don't deal with all that sorcery, all this type of stuff. There's truth to it, but the nature of the knowledge that is leads to death. Right? So she got involved in all of that in this conversation. Verse 6.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
So this means she understood that she could get some information from this tree. Keep going.
And it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did
So
eat.
she becomes a Trojan horse to Adam. So now you got a problem with the Lord. Let's skip down and see where the Lord instituted what was said in 1 Corinthians 14 about they are commanded to be under obedience, as also said the law. Skip down to verse 16. Go ahead.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrows and thy conceptions. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and
go.
he shall rule.
Yeah, keep going.
And he shall rule over thee.
There you go. So from this point forward, stand behind your head. From this point forward, follow the lead of your head, which is your husband. Don't step out there spiritually and try to usurp the authority of your husband. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2. First Timothy chapter 2. Are we still frozen?
No, it's just really slow.
Okay, but it's still there.
The rate. Yeah,
Okay.
it's still there.
As long as they can hear us. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9. 1 Timothy 2 and 9. Okay, go ahead.
In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broaded hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array.
Costly array. So Paul is letting Timothy know that women should adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety. Do women even discuss shamefacedness these days?
Nah.
You know what that is? So this is wise counsel, and the Lord is letting women know the proper and wise way to conduct yourself. Because that's why, look, I say it all the time. Social media and the effects of it is just another dangerous tool for women, because the way that women utilize it is different. This caters to, you see women on there all the time putting themselves out there.
Sure.
It explodes the vanity that's in women. It does. And that's why the Bible got to say stuff like this: adorn yourself with modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array. So we try to deal with the Beyonce effect even here. Because that's a problem.
Lot of bling.
That can lead to a lot of problems. Verse 10.
But which becometh woman professing godliness with good works, that the woman learn in silence with all subjection.
Okay. This basically means be quiet. A woman that has a head needs to follow that protocol, and she needs to learn in silence with all subjection. Verse 12.
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
Okay, so this is really what he's getting to when he starts talking about a woman being silent in the church. Ultimately, what he's getting to is there is absolutely no reason for a woman to be a teacher or to be leading in this capacity at all. That's ultimately what he's getting at.
Like a preacher.
Correct. Correct. Because a woman, look, the book says that the Lord will pour out His Spirit on His sons and daughters. So I know plenty of people that have been brought into the Word by the wisdom and understanding of a woman. Plenty of people. Right? So it's not saying that you can't share the gospel or anything like that. But what he's saying is he's got a protocol when it comes to officially dispensing the word.
Yeah.
And that is not the
It's a man's
place of a woman. That's a man's job.
Yeah.
And a woman that truly understands that is going to want a man to do his job and is going to want to do her job. So he said, but I suffer not a woman to teach, keep going.
Nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
Right, let's just keep the confusion down. We already got men in here with different opinions that have to be dealt with and debated and understood. So if the men are the head, then let them be the liaison for their house. You bring the opinions or questions of your household to the forefront, let it get discussed, and then you go home and dispense that throughout your house. That is order, as opposed to letting everybody, you got issues with your wife here, your wife saying something, you saying something. The protocol is that you are the head of your household, therefore we must all respect that. So anything your wife learns, she should learn from you at home or learn in silence, right? Now, clearly we're in a place where a lot of people don't have husbands. And this, like the forums that we have, are for everybody to learn because we're all at the same level. Like we're all learning at the same time. You know, like my wife and I went to church, we both had questions because I couldn't answer her question because we both learned at the same time. But all things being equal, this is the order that it needs to fall into. So at this point, my wife can ask me. She doesn't need to ask somebody else, right? Or you know, a lot of times I will allow her to, you know, ask someone else to get another perspective. But I'm still the head of that situation. I'm still controlling how that's going. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So if you have a man present who's capable, why would a woman be teaching if that's not the protocol that God set up? And why is that? Verse 13.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve.
Uh-huh.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the...
Now we can't ignore this. So he's giving us insight as to why. Because according to the book, a woman will fall for the subtle deception and become a Trojan horse for that man. That's what we saw in Genesis. Whereas a man may say, look, let's just be real. Let's look at church for what it is. Modern day church. Who's filling up those church houses?
Women.
The women. Following
Women.
a false prophet. And how they get the men there. They dragging them there. Everybody knows the story. Mom wants to go to church. Dad don't want to go because he see through the charlatan up there. But he ends up getting dragged to church because of her.
Please the wife.
The men become like the child.
Please the wife.
You keep begging me to go, I'll come up here. But I know this dude is full of it. But I'll come up here. That's basically what that's exactly what the book is saying. So that's backwards. It's not supposed to be that way. Because the man knows that the dude is up there playing games, the woman is supposed to follow him and say, okay, well, we're not going to deal with that because he up there lying. But that's not the case. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Verse 15.
Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
So notice when it comes to the woman, the Bible is clearly saying modest, sober, faith, charity, shamefacedness, meekness. This is what's going to make the dynamic work between a man and a woman.
Shamefaced is humble, right? Humility.
Correct. Shamefacedness.
Yeah.
We got a dictionary. I know. I believe.
I think it's humility.
Yeah, I think so.
Because when I was a little man, people used to talk about your shamefaced. Yeah. I think it's humility.
Use the word in those times.
Yeah. But it's only English.
It's not in there. Does somebody have a Bible dictionary? You got a Bible dictionary? Is it in there?
I'm just waiting for my phone to go. Yeah, Google.
Yeah, I'm using my phone to broadcast.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, so it says shamefaced. Feeling or expressing shame or embarrassment.
There you go. There you go. So when you're talking about expressing shame, you're talking about if you have upset your husband. Let's just keep it real. You upset your husband. Generally, the response will be, what have I done to upset you? That's shamefacedness. You are taking the step to try to resolve it in a way where you'll be open to understanding what has been done to. You got a definition there? Is it in there?
Yeah, it is.
Where is it?
Shamefacedness should be there. It's there.
There you go. Shame is a feeling brought about.
Wait, what word is it?
It's shame, shamefacedness.
Uh-huh.
And the shame is a feeling brought about by a sense of guilt, impropriety, or disillusionment through false confidence. Shamefacedness, 1 Timothy 2:9, denotes sexual modesty. And then that's it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, keep it up.
So anyway, being modest. So, does that answer your question?
Very well.
Okay.
Very well.
What about ministry? Sometimes you have like a husband and wife team together in terms of teaching. So is that the same?
That's a good question. So your question is about when you see in ministry you got a husband and a wife, or even a pastor and a first lady, and generally the pastor will preach. Then every now and then you might see the first lady get up and do a lesson. Then as time goes on, she's doing as many lessons as he's doing. Generally how that goes, right? You don't see that in the Bible. That's just a dude trying to keep some peace in his house based on worldly ways. You don't see no ministries where a man is in the synagogue teaching, then his wife get up in the synagogue and start teaching. That's out of order. You don't see that. Now, what you do see, let's go to Acts. You may see